Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're uncovering something pretty remarkable: how these ancient currents of history, trade, and adaptation are literally etched onto the faces of an entire nation. Get ready, because what we're about to explore might completely challenge any ideas you have about a country's, look.
Yeah.
So here's the really stunning thing about Ghana. It just utterly defies any single easy definition of appearance. You might expect some kind of visual shorthand for a country's people, right?
Mm.
But Ghana just explodes that idea.
Mm.
Looking through our stack of sources, articles, research, our notes, it immediately shows this incredible spectrum. Just wow.
And that's exactly what makes Ghana so compelling for researchers. It's consistently highlighted as one of West Africa's most visually striking and diverse nations. And not just in its vibrant cultures or like the textiles, but in the actual physical appearance of its people.
Right.
We're talking everything from skin tone and height to hair texture, facial features. It's like a living map of centuries of history.
Yeah.
It really is.
So our mission for you today is basically to cut through all that complexity and just deliver the most important insights from these sources. We want to give you a shortcut, really, to understanding how centuries of migrations, trade, environmental adaptation, how it's all carried literally in the faces of Ghanaians. This isn't just biology we're talking about. It's biography. To really get this, let's set the scene a bit. Imagine walking through Accra's Makola Market. Huge, bustling place. You'd see these tall men, maybe lean builds, navigating the crowds, women with really intricate braided hair, just radiant smiles, and kids whose skin shades just gracefully range from the deepest ebony to this warm, inviting bronze. It's an explosion of life, of appearance.
Yeah, it's incredibly vibrant.
But then the plot thickens, right? As you move beyond the capital, say you travel north, maybe up to Tamale, you'd immediately notice a shift. You'd likely see taller figures, often with sharper facial features. It sort of reflects influences from the drier Sahelian regions.
Yep.
Then journey south again, along the coast to somewhere like Cape Coast. You'll find different communities again, maybe medium builds, complexions that vary even more. It kind of hints at their long history of interaction with the wider world.
And that geographical journey, it just crystallizes the core insight that historians keep emphasizing in our sources.
Yeah.
Ghana's people do not have a single look, full stop. Their incredible visible diversity isn't random. It's a direct reflection of the nation's historical role as this crucial crossroads, this bridge between West Africa and the wider world. This, I think, is the real aha moment for understanding the human story there.
That makes perfect sense. So if Ghana's face is a map, let's zoom in. Let's look at the specific physical traits that make up this diverse topography. We can try and build this larger picture piece by piece, asking what each detail tells us about this unique human tapestry.
Absolutely. And our sources give us a pretty rich synthesis of information on these characteristics. Let's start with skin tone. It's definitely a spectrum, but with subtle, regionally significant shifts across Ghana. So in northern Ghana, you look at communities like the Dagomba, the Ganja groups adapted to the savanna environment. There, you primarily find these rich, dark brown tones. And this isn't just, looking around. A 2019 dermatological survey actually validated these subtle but measurable differences in melanin levels between northern and southern populations. Yeah, is biological proof of generations adapting to different climates, that intense savanna sun.
Right.
Then as you move into the central regions, home to groups like the Ashanti and other Ekan populations, skin tones typically present as, say, medium to deep brown. This seems to reflect their ancestral forest environments, which naturally gave a bit more shade, less direct UV. Makes sense. And then along the coast, among groups like the Darmbe and Fante, medium brown complexions are common. But here you also find occasional lighter tones. And the sources historically link that to, European intermarriage during centuries of pretty intense coastal trade.
Fascinating. Just fascinating how environment and interaction shape something so fundamental. So if skin tone is a map of climate and history, what story does hair tell? Hair texture, color?
It tells a powerful story too, actually. Across Ghana, the dominance of tightly coiled, sort of kinky hair textures is undeniable. Biologically, this texture offers just superior natural protection against the sun.
Oh,
And it's excellent at retaining moisture, which is crucial in that tropical climate. What's interesting, though, is that the sources mention you do see looser curls sometimes in some northern groups.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's possibly influenced by historic migrations from the Sahelian regions, where you find different genetic markers, different hair textures being more common.
Yeah.
Hair color itself is, overwhelmingly black. But you do sometimes see reddish or coppery tones in children. That can be due to specific genetic traits, or sometimes nutritional factors can play a role there too. And beyond biology, it's so vital to remember hair is deeply tied to identity in Ghana. Hairstyles are profoundly cultural.
Like the examples you mentioned.
Exactly, like the elaborate Ashanti ceremonial braids
Mhm.
or coastal cornrows that have been worn for centuries. They're powerful symbols of heritage, status, identity.
So it's not just climate, it's generations of lifestyle, tradition physically shaping these communities. Which brings us to height and build. Are those variations just as pronounced?
Oh, absolutely. Anthropologists have measured average statures,
Yeah.
you know, men around 170 centimeters, that's about 5'7", and women around 159 centimeters, maybe 5'2".
Okay, average.
But that average really masks strong regional differences. Northern ethnic groups, for instance, like the Dagomba and Ganja, they average taller, men sometimes up to 174 centimeters,
Yeah.
and typically leaner builds. This reflects pretty clearly genetic influence from groups originating in the Sahel, north of Ghana, maybe even populations from the Nile River Basin further east.
Right. Those regions are known for taller populations.
Exactly. Known for typically taller statures, specific body types. In contrast, you go to the southern forest groups like the Akan. They tend to be slightly shorter but more muscular. A body type well adapted to the dense forest environments, the demands of traditional farming there. Coastal populations, shaped by centuries of fishing, trade. They generally fall somewhere in between. Medium builds, reflecting a bit of a blend of influences.
And what about eye color? I mean, equatorial Africa is globally dominated by dark eyes. Do the sources show much variation in Ghana?
It's largely consistent, yeah. The sources indicate more than 95% of Ghanaians have dark brown eyes. Yep. Standard for the region. However, rare variations do pop up. Hazel and amber eyes, for instance. They occur in maybe 1 to 2% of the population.
Really? That's specific.
Yeah, and these are particularly noted in some families in the north, interestingly. Another significant, though obviously distinct, variation comes with albinism. It's actually more common in Ghana than in Europe.
Is that right?
Yeah, affecting about 1 in 5,000 to 1 in 15,000 births. It varies by region. And as you'd expect, albinism often presents with blue or light gray eyes.
Okay. Finally, let's get into facial structures.
Right.
This feels like where many of these visual identities really come together.
Indeed. The variations in facial features are quite pronounced by ethnicity and geography. In northern Ghana, you commonly find narrower noses, perhaps taller foreheads, leaner faces overall, traits that bear a resemblance to their Sahelian neighbors to the north.
Mm-hmm.
Then you move to the central and Ashanti regions. Fuller lips, broader noses, rounder facial structures tend to be more dominant. That reflects more, let's say, classic West African ancestry.
Okay.
Coastal populations, again, as you might predict given their history, they show more mixed influences. Some families might exhibit sharper profiles, which can be a direct result of that intermarriage during the colonial period we mentioned.
Right, the European contact.
Exactly. And this rich diversity, it often sparks this fascinating, sometimes quite contentious debate internally. What is the typical Ghanaian look? Some argue strongly as the Ashanti face may be characterized by rounder cheeks, deep brown skin. Others point to the taller, sharper-featured Dagomba from the north as equally representative.
Interesting how those map onto different regions.
It is. And the truth, as historians in the sources really emphasize, is that Ghana's identity beautifully resists that kind of singular simplification. It embraces the variety.
Which brings us perfectly to the bigger picture. How did all these incredible variations come to be? We need to look at that sweep of history
Yes.
because it's so clear these physical traits aren't random. They're deeply woven into Ghana's past.
That's precisely it. If you connect these traits to the broader historical context, they are direct reflections of ancient movements, profound interactions. Consider the influence of the ancient Ghana Empire. Now, it was located in modern Mali and Mauritania, not modern Ghana.
Right, important distinction.
Crucial distinction. But its vast trade networks and the subsequent migrations significantly shaped northern Ghanaian populations way back between the 6th and 13th centuries. We also see clear evidence of Mande and Masi migrations bringing new facial features, different body types, into northern Ghana over many centuries.
Okay, so ancient layers.
Ancient layers. Then you have the powerful Ashanti Empire, flourishing from the 17th and 19th century. It played a huge role in consolidating central populations. And in doing that, it standardized many cultural traits, which probably had some effect on physical intermingling too.
Makes sense.
And then, of course, the Atlantic trade era, 15th to 19th century. That brought Portuguese, Dutch, British settlers mainly to the coast. And this left small, but definitely visible, genetic traces of European intermarriage in those coastal areas. Helps explain some of the lighter complexions, sharper profiles we talked about.
So history directly impacting genetics.
Directly. And genetic insights today confirm this picture. Ghanaians are overwhelmingly West African in ancestry, over 90% sub-Saharan West African lineage. But alongside that dominant lineage, you find these small but significant percentages of Sahelian and, yes, European contributions. It's a remarkable historical tapestry etched right onto their genes.
Wow. So this raises such an important question. How does all this incredible diversity, genetic and physical, how does it play out in modern Ghana, especially around identity, perceptions of beauty today?
But what's striking is that there are ongoing debates within Ghana about what constitutes real Ghanaian features.
Okay.
It's quite fascinating. Some people strongly believe the Ashanti physique, often described as maybe stocky, dark-skinned, broad-nosed, that defines Ghana.
Right.
Yet others argue just as passionately that northern groups, with their taller, narrower features, are equally representative.
Yeah.
And the sources do note how these discussions sometimes mirror underlying political divides between North and South.
Ah, interesting. So identity gets tied up in appearance.
It absolutely does. And there's also the lasting influence, the shadow maybe, of the colonial era. Coastal groups with perhaps lighter skin or sharper features were at times favored by Europeans. Unfortunately, that created these long-lasting stereotypes about beauty and status. And those perceptions, though rooted in a difficult past, well, they still subtly influence contemporary ideals today. It's complex.
It's very complex.
But let's bring it back to the vibrancy, because that's also key. Picture the Ashanti Durbar Festival in Kumasi. Chiefs in brilliant gold jewelry, their deep brown skin glowing against that amazing kente cloth.
Yeah.
Or think of tall young men in embroidered smocks up in Tamale, their lean builds distinctive in the savannah sun. And down at Cape Coast, kids splashing in the Atlantic waves, their medium brown skin reflecting the sea.
Every single one of those scenes is undeniably Ghanaian. It's a powerful statement of national identity right there.
Exactly. Every face tells part of the same national story. And this highlights a really powerful emotional arc, I think. For Ghanaians, appearance isn't just biology, it's pride. The Ashanti celebrate heritage through kente, specific hairstyles. Dagamba families might embrace their tall stature as a symbol of strength. Coastal Ga and Fante communities celebrate their history as mediators of trade and culture. It's woven into their identity.
That makes sense.
Now, it's true, appearance can sometimes play into social tensions. Darker skin might face unforced stereotypes in certain settings, maybe urban ones. Lighter tones might get associated with those imported beauty ideals.
Right, the colonial legacy again.
That shadow, yes. But crucially, and this is really important despite these divides, surveys highlighted in our sources show that more than 80% of Ghanaians see their ethnic and physical diversity as a profound national strength.
80%. That's huge.
It's a powerful testament to their underlying unity, I think.
So what we've really learned today is that Ghana's population, while maybe more genetically homogeneous in its core West African lineage compared to some, say, East African countries, it presents this strikingly visible diversity.
Right.
And that's because environmental adaptation, these historic migrations from diverse regions like the Sahel, centuries of vibrant trade, they've all layered subtle yet distinct differences across the various groups.
Slice.
And what you end up with is this incredibly vibrant spectrum of appearances, from tall and lean northerners to maybe stockier, more muscular southerners, from deep, ebony dark skin to warm bronze shades, from tightly coiled hair to occasionally looser curls. It's all there. What incredible exploration, just mapping the living history of Ghana through the human form. It's truly a rich tapestry of identity.
It really is. And, this raises an important final question, maybe something for you, the listener, to consider as you reflect on this. When people debate the true Ghanaian look, are they actually searching for a single image that doesn't really exist? Or should Ghana's strength be seen precisely in its many faces, all equally authentic, all telling parts of the same incredible, evolving national story?
A truly thought-provoking question to mull over. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating intersection of history, geography, and identity in Ghana. We hope you'll continue to reflect on these insights long after our time together concludes.